While Charlton Athletic have had a very difficult 10 years, lit up a little bit at times, wasn't it, by the form under Lee Bowyer in League One and how close they came to survival in the Championship. But overall, it's been a decade for the Addicks that's been dominated by ownership concerns and uncertainty. Hopefully that can change for the Addicks under the current ownership, and hopefully it can change under Nathan Jones, possibly the highest caliber manager that the Addicks have had for a long time. So plenty of cause for optimism, but are we ready to trust Charlton Athletic as a club again? That's what we're going to discuss, and whether they can challenge for promotion in League One this season on this Summer Deep Dive. Yes, welcome along to the latest EFL Debate Summer Deep Dive, one of 72 we're doing across the EFL between mid-June and mid-July. Already a few up, already the full set for League Two uploaded to YouTube and on Spotify. A few uploaded to League One as well. So get yourself subscribed and once you're done with this one, of course. For now, delighted to be joined by Sue Gallop, who's a Charlton Athletic fan from Charlton Live. Sue, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you joining me this morning. Where are Charlton Athletic as a club right now, do you think?
We're definitely in the midst of a big transition at the minute. I think there certainly was a lot of excitement when Nathan came in as manager, because, as you say, he's the highest caliber. No disrespect for anyone that sort of preceded, but for someone that's sort of managed at the level he has, it was a big thing for us to get him in. I think with the board, they're still in their fairly early days of what they want to instill and put in place. They've been doing quite a lot of communication recently via sort of interviews with fans. There was one in the week that was on YouTube, and fans could put in questions. So there seems to be quite a bit of communication at the moment, because I think they're trying to sort of undo some of the damages that had been done by the previous three owners. I'm trying to count then how many we've had. But yeah, I feel like we're definitely in a better place than we were sort of a year ago even. There's still the sort of complex situation with the Belgium owning the ground and the training ground, which I know a lot of clubs don't own their own grounds and their training grounds, but we fought so hard as a fan base to get our ground back. So that I think that's still an ongoing negotiation between the board and Roland. So that makes us feel a little bit unsettled, but I guess in some respects you've just got to believe what they're saying and hope that they do the best by us and take us forward. I know season ticket sales are going fairly well, so I think they're higher than they were at this time last season, so that's a good indicator. So I think it's just now hoping that the squad that Nathan's trying to build, that the board back him with the people that he wants to bring in.
You're excited by what, or encouraged by what you've seen from SE7 Partners so far then?
That's a tricky one. Some aspects, yes. But I think
yes.
I guess that they're trying to rebuild this relationship with the fan base. And again, like I said, the communication. So they have done quite a few Q&As with the fan base. I guess my issue is, and wrongly or rightly, we're all still a little bit skeptical of Charlie Methven because of the things that we saw on the Sunderland documentary.
Yes.
I must say, by listening to him the other night, he seems to have changed a little bit in what he's presenting to the fans in terms of being more receptive to suggestion and advice. So maybe he's learnt by his mistakes in that respect. Some of the ownership are sort of quite quiet. So they're the money men. They're the ones putting the money in. Jim and Charlie and Gavin are like the front people. So they're the ones that are having the communications with the fans. So I think we're still unsure about. I know there was a statement released in the week that they've made a change to the management structure, which looks fairly positive. So I think, yeah, on the whole, from what I'm hearing and by watching these interviews, I feel fairly positive. But like I say, there's always that aspect. We have been burnt 1, 2, 3, 4 times before, and it's hard to trust when you get excited and then they let you down, and then you get excited and then they let you down. And so, like with this new one, unfortunately, I think they've got to prove themselves double because of how much we've been burnt in the past.
That certainly makes sense. So Nathan Jones, you brought back Nathan Jones. Now, this is someone who initially worked as a development lead coach at Charlton Athletic a few years ago. He's returned as manager. Yeah, I think you alluded to it at the top of the show. You're really excited to see what he can do with the Addicks.
Yeah, I think from working with Nathan, what was it, 11 years ago, when he won the league as the development coach, and then was then asked to go back to Brighton as assistant manager. When you meet someone like Nathan, he's very infectious in terms of his passion and his knowledge, and I think I'm excited because I know what he can bring in terms of that knowledge and passion. He's not someone that will accept 98%. He wants 100% every single day from every single player. And if you're not there, you're not going to play, and you will probably feel the wrath. So, I mean, he's a lovely guy. He's, I mean, just watching some of the videos of him, like obviously being reunited with Luke Berry, he seems to act like if players didn't gel with him, why would they want to then move to come and play for him again? Do you know what I mean? And I know from talking to a lot of the younger lads that played under him, who've not now gone on to bigger and better, that they'd always said like what an amazing coach he is, and that passion and determination and that demand and expectation is really, really, like, if you don't buy into that, then you're not going to play.
Sue, did you feel like when you worked closely with, well, I don't know how closely actually, but when you worked with him 11 years ago, did you feel, I would love this guy to be Charlton Athletic manager one day?
Funny enough, when he left to go back to Brighton, I was like, you'll be back one day and you'll be
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think, it's, there was always this thing, I think, everyone talks about their clubs in this way probably, but we are a family, genuinely. We've been through so much together. And I think once you're in that family, you might go away for a little while, but you never fully escape. And I think there's always that draw to come back, whether it's management working, like a lot of our ex-players, like most clubs, work on a match day as hosts and stuff. So yeah, we got we're sort of in the midst of rebuilding our ex players, sort of our vets system again. But yeah, he said genuinely, like when Charlton would sort of start showing an interest, it was somewhere that he always wanted to come back to. So, and I think that's a genuine thing. Like, he didn't have to come back to us; he had other offers. But it's one of them clubs, I think, that once it gets under your skin, there's no going back.
Yeah. Or there is a going back.
Oh yeah.
So in terms of the squad and how that's looking, you got 3 goalkeepers under contract at the moment. You got Harry Isted there, who I know had a very good time at Barnsley a year or two ago. You've got Ashley Maynard Brewer, but you've also brought in Will Mannion from Cambridge United. So you've got 3 keepers in the mix. How do you see that situation playing out?
I think at least I think Harry. See, it's difficult because obviously Nathan's keeps his cards close to his chest.
Of course.
I think definitely one of them will be leaving us, whether that's on loan or whatever. Ash is still relatively young for a keeper. He came through our academy system, very good goalkeeper, plays for his country. But I think there's still a lot to learn. Harry obviously played under Nathan at Luton, so he'd already got a bit of a relationship. But then I've seen in the week that we're in for another goalkeeper.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so I think obviously he's brought Will in, maybe with the idea that he's going to be first choice. But yeah, it remains to be seen what happens with Harry and Ash.
I mean, Will Mannion wasn't first choice at Cambridge United last season, so the idea that he'd be first choice for Charlton Athletic with promotion ambitions, I'm not sure. That feels a bit of a stretch for me.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know a lot about him.
Okay.
But what I kind of think, why would you buy a goalkeeper if it was just someone that you was going to have on your bench? You when you buy players, it's always with the view that they're going to be starting, in my mind.
Okay.
Otherwise, if they're not good enough to start, why would you buy them? Well, why would you get them in the first place? So maybe there's something in him that Nathan's seen or whoever's seen that makes them think that he would be starting. Right. Who knows? I guess again, we've got pre-season coming up. A lot more decisions will be made during that period about how those players perform in pre-season. So yeah, I think either Ash or Harry will probably be leaving or going out on loan.
That makes a lot of sense. So in terms of the centre back positions, you've got Romani Edmonds Green there. You've got Macaulay Gillespie. You've got Lloyd Jones. Plenty of options. Ness, Josh Edwards can play on the left for back 3. You've got quite a lot of competition there, right?
Yeah, but as it's been well publicised, our defence was probably our biggest issue last season. So Nathan had sort of chosen not to renew some of the contracts of that back 3-4. But I think we definitely needed strengthening in that sort of area, and I think the plan is that someone else might be on their way in. I think Lloyd is a fantastic defender, but he had a bit of a wobble last season. I think everyone's confidence just dropped so much before Nathan came in. And he had that really hard job of trying to bring that confidence back.
I had people saying just before Nathan came in that you were going down. So that shows you where things were. I also didn't mention, by the way, you've got Alex Mitchell coming in at centre back, who's was very highly rated at Millwall, got incredible reviews from his loan spell at Lincoln City. So again, that's another really exciting addition. So I mean, you mentioned another defender, but I do think that you've got some good options there, some good competition. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think I feel excited about how it's going to go, just in terms of new bodies that come with quite good reputations. Everything you read about the 2 new guys that have come back come in
Mhm.
has all been really positive. I understand there was quite a bit of competition for Mitchell, so
Mhm.
yeah, it's again, I think when you've got a manager like Nathan, that's always a draw. Plus, we've got our stadium it's a Premier League stadium, so when you watch, there was an interview with one of the new players the other day, and they took him to the Valley, and he was just like, "Wow, oh!" And it's genuine.
Yeah.
It is a really amazing stadium. So, so yeah, it is exciting to see what these new guys are going to bring.
Mm. Yeah, certainly is. I'm kind of mapping out the squad with the assumption that Nathan Jones might play 3-5-2. We don't know that obviously because he's a manager that hasn't been wedded to any one formation in his career. But if we're looking at wing backs, you've got in terms of on the right, you've got Ramsey who had a very good half of a season last year at Harrogate. You've got Tenno Watson who's built up a bit of experience at this level now as well. And you've got Nathan Asimwe coming through the academy as well. So again, you've got 3 players there who could play right wing back. So again, strong competition.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for Nathan to make those decisions about who plays. Nathan, again, another player that came through our academy. I guess Nathan Jones's big thing at the end of last season was when he was talking about as how much he needed to make the squad smaller because the squad was too big. I think maybe this season there might be some of our younger lads going out on loan, because I think they do learn a lot by going out on loan to like lower league teams. So I mean, we saw it with Daniel Kanu when he went out to Southend last season, and it was banging in goals for fun. He came back and he was unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Do you know what, Sue? I love the chant for Daniel Cant, the Saturday night turn. I like the way you move.
I sit in the West End, so I don't sing songs.
Oh no! Oh, you're
So
missing
you
out.
know what?
You're missing out.
I need to sit in the North at some point and learn these songs because you like
Yeah.
when you're sitting and you're hearing them, you're like, "What's that word? What's that bit?" So yeah, no, we've got. To be fair, our fans have made some unbelievable songs about our players. Like they're so funny.
Yeah. I know I
Um,
love the Daniel Carney song. Do you know what? Let's come on to him because I saw your game at Cheltenham around March time last year, and what I really liked about Daniel Carner is that he's always on the move, and he's always looking to get on the end of things. So it's ideal. I think it's a bit of a midfielder's dream because he's always making those runs, so it becomes much easier. It's like he makes the midfielders' decisions for them. So yeah, for me, I think he could be a really big player this season.
yeah, I think he's definitely he won Young Player of the Year last season, rightly so. And I think with Dan, it's like prior to him going out on loan to Southend, he was in the first team, but he didn't have that same air of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then that loan, I think, done him the world of good. And then he's come back, and it's just like it's when someone leaves a boy and they come back a man.
Yes, sure.
And he's got no fear. And when you've got a player like that not afraid to make those runs, and like as you know with strikers, it's like you might get 5 chances, and if you get one of them, then it's a bonus. And I think he just plays with that in his mind, like every opportunity, I'm just going to have a go. I'm going to have a go. I'm going to have a go, because at some point one of them will go in. But he's unbelievable. And yeah, I mean, some of us were getting a bit worried because we're like, don't be too good, Dan. We don't want to lose you, because as you know, we end up being a feeder club for all the bigger clubs. So like as it's well publicised again, our academy is definitely one of our like major selling
Yeah,
and
you've done so well from that academy, Sue, over
how
there.
many of our academy players have gone on. I mean, look, Ezri and Joe are in the England squad at the moment. Addy's played in the Europa Cup final and
Yeah.
won, scored 2 goals in the final. So when you look at and even historically, we've done really well with the academy, and it's so lovely when you see the academy lads coming through and playing for the first team and doing well in the first team and deserving their place in the first team. But then you get, oh God, they're going to be the next one to go. I think we had it with Miles.
I think you've kind of got to make your peace with that, because I think it's when players move on for the right money, then that's kind of where you get doing things right as a club, because you get some money for it, but also it's an encouragement to other people who want to join Charlton Athletic who might be talented. Say, well, if he did that, then I can do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it gives people some encouragement and a reason to join Charlton Athletic. So I think you've got to embrace that as much as, you never want to see your best players go, but I think you've also got to embrace it in a way as well.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it's like I always joke about it. So I feel like a proud mum sometimes, because when you see your younger lads doing so well in the Premier League that have come through our academy, and it just fills you with pride, because you like that they were our boys, and now they're like smashing it. So yeah, I see what I completely get it, but I think as Charlton fans we have attachment issues as well. Oh, please don't leave. All right, go on, go.
Oh, I feel a bit heartbroken listening to that. So Ramsey, I think it could be in for a big season. Whether you quite saw the best of him in the second half of last year, but I think he's very, very talented. So I think he's going to be one to watch. So left wing back, then you brought in Josh Edwards, who has some really exciting reviews from Scotland. He can play on the left for back three as well. But you've also got Thierry Small there, who is again another really talented player. And then you've got Teo Eden. So again, a bit like the right wing back, you've got 3 players there, and all of them will feel like they'll want to be in the conversation to start or be in the matchday squad.
Yeah, I think last season Teo was still sort of growing in, but he did well on the whole when he was playing. Again, you need to have competition for places, because that brings out the best in players. If you, as a competitive athlete, you want to be starting, so you raise your game. So that's only a good thing for Nathan in terms of choosing who's going to be starting. And not only that, as again, a lot of clubs have had with injuries and stuff, you need to have people that can come in and still do a job, if not better. So yeah, I think it's going to be again interesting to see. I think that's where pre-season is always really, not that you can really judge anything by pre-season. I get a bit, I laugh at people that take pre-season really seriously and look too much into results. Oh my God, we lost 1-0 to Welling. Well, to me, it's about fitness. It's about finding your right starting lineup, formations, messing about with stuff like that. That's when you experiment. You don't want to wait till the season starts and then start messing about with stuff like that. So I don't read too much into pre-season, just in terms of getting that fitness, that match fitness up, and looking at who may be your starting 11 for that first game in August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Talk to me a little bit about Thierry Small, Sue, and the impact that he made after joining in January.
Oh, he was unbelievable, and we were all like, how have we got him? And he's only like 19, 20. He's so young. He's a really exciting player to watch. So there was talk, because we triggered a clause in his contract to get him for another season. So there was a bit of negotiating. I think he might have had his head turned a little bit by some other clubs, maybe showing an interest. But for now, it looks like he's staying with us. But again, he's a player that's going to attract attention, and it might be that he goes. But yeah, watching him, I think it felt like there was such a good relationship built up with those attacking players, that they just seemed to be in sync with each other. Like you're saying about Daniel, like I think some of these lads built up that really good intuition with each other, that they just seemed to know where they were going to be. And I think it would be a shame if that changed for the coming season, because that doesn't just come in like naturally. It doesn't come instantly, but it seemed to work really well. And I guess whatever Nathan was doing with him on the training pitch was definitely working. And yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't know how we got him, but he's great.
Yeah, very, very exciting future ahead, I think, for Thierry Small. I'm a big fan too of Connor Coventry, Sue, because he reminds me a bit of Michael Carrick in a way, just being able to mop things up and looking after the ball at the base of midfield. So he's, I could imagine he's going to be a really key player this season.
Yeah, I think there was mixed reviews about Connor.
Really?
But from the fan base, I personally feel like he's, like you say, Michael Carrick does his job quietly. You don't really notice him, but if he wasn't there, it would be like, oh my God. Like he is very sort of, just goes about workmanship, like just get on with it, do your job quietly. But I feel like, again, I know I keep banging on about pre-season, but things were so unstable last season. And I think it's hard for a manager to come in and try and fix that quickly when you're in a relegation battle.
Sure.
I think this summer, and like the lads going away for a pre-season tour, so I think that is going to be that real bonding. Like I think we'll see the best side of Connor in the new season, because like he came with such a good reputation, and like you're already saying, you like how much respect you've got for him.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah.
You can see why people rave about him, but again, I think he was probably one of the better ones in a bad bunch last season. But again, his role goes somewhat unnoticed because he just is so efficient at what he does. So, it'll be interesting to see how he does come August.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But lots of midfield options there. You've got Carroll Anderson, who had a big breakthrough season last year. Scott Fraser, who I don't know that you've quite seen the best of just yet, but again, he's someone who's delivered in League One before with Burton and MK Dons. You've got Aaron Henry, who's certainly a big talent, as he's shown in non-league. You've got Berry as well, who's you've signed from Lincoln. So you've got a few options there.
Yeah, I think, if I'm honest, Kawhi again has come through our academy. He's away on international duty at the moment, but he sort of, again, similar to Dan, had sort of started to lose his confidence a bit. Had a break from the first team. Nathan brought him back in, and Nathan absolutely raves about him. Like, and when you've got a judgment from someone like Nathan that just absolutely adores this kid, like, and you can see it in him. He's definitely one for the future in terms of climbing up the leagues, whether it's with us or someone else. I think Luke Berry, I was really excited about us signing Luke, because he's obviously playing with Luton and getting into the Premier League with Luton. I think he's going to bring that bit of experience, because on the whole, we have got a fairly young squad. Scott's a weird one because obviously he went out on loan at the back end of last season, back up to Scotland. That we sort of told that his aim was to go back up that way because family and everything. So
he could be on the move then.
I think Scott Scott's probably not going to be part of the plans.
Okay.
And that's sad because obviously, like you say, we were so excited when we signed him, but we just didn't see that player. And whether that, I think it happens a lot. We saw it with Charlie Kirk. If a player doesn't settle in the area, that you're not going to get the best out of them. It doesn't matter how much you coach or whatever you do with them. If they're not happy at home, they're not going to be happy playing. So I think that mental side of the game, I'm all for players moving on back to hometowns or whatever, if that's going to help them to be a better player. So yeah, I don't think we'll see Scott come August. Trying to remember who else you mentioned
So
now.
who else? There's a few. So I tell you what, I've always felt like Aaron Henry has a lot of potential. So I guess it's quite difficult because if you're an ambitious League One club that's trying to get into the top six, you might not have as much space to develop somebody like Aaron Henry to try and get him to translate what he's shown in the National League into League One. But I think in terms of technically, in terms of his vision, I think he's a really good midfield player, and I think he does have a lot of potential. But it's whether Charlton's going to be the best place for his sort of immediate future.
Yeah, again, I think with Aaron, like we all love Aaron. Again, another academy player come through. And I think that's where Nathan's going to have to make some decisions about who is going to be the best team to get us promoted. We need to get out of League One. And I don't know whether he'll see stuff in pre-season that might make him think that at least he's a squad player. But otherwise, I feel like Aaron might benefit from like another loan out to maybe a League Two side.
Yeah. I think he's good enough for League Two personally. He did very well a couple of seasons ago at Wealdstone, and that was in the National League. So I think he's National League proven now. So for me, I think he's ready for League Two, definitely.
Yeah. I think that's just going to help him to grow as a player and a man. So potentially, I think we'll see him go out on loan as well.
Yeah, well, good luck to him wherever he goes. But yeah, you brought in Luke Berry, who somebody Nathan Jones knows from his time at Luton. Do you think his experience playing in the Premier League and knowing what it takes to rise up the leagues and his attitude and the example that he can set, do you think those can be really important things in terms of the culture, I guess, and things like that?
Yeah, I think you want every player to have that winning mentality, and I think Luke has been brought in mainly for his ability, but I think as a leader, I see him as a potential captain, someone that can instill that in the team, which is, like I've said, a fairly young squad that can give you that sort of belief that, like when he signed for Luton, I think they were in League Two, and he went through up to the Prem. So I think if anyone can show that it can be done, it's Luke. And what better sort of role model can you have in your squad, aside from the fact that he's a fantastic player? As a person, he's going to be vital in this promotion push, because he'll be able to show how it happens, how it's done, and give that advice and guidance to his teammates.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll do that. So in terms of the attacking options, we've already touched on Daniel Kanu and how important we think he's going to be this season. But Alfie May has been linked with a move to Huddersfield Town. Now, there's been mixed reports on this because some people have said that this is a goer, but I think the local, forgive me, I've forgotten the local journalist's name who broke this. Rich Crawley, thank you, Crawley, thank you. I think he said that actually the fee hasn't been agreed, contrary to reports. And Charlton, I guess, you'll want to hold out for as big a fee as possible because he's such an important player. Well, how else do you get a guaranteed League One goal scorer? It's very difficult. So yeah, that's a situation that could continue to play out, and don't quite know how it's going to be resolved.
I mean, again, we're not in the know. And like we sort of heard things that like his wife is from that area and
Right.
she's been wanting to go back home. So again, that personal thing, even though Alfie's a local boy, if your family are not happy, then potentially you're not happy. So yeah, there's a lot in it, and obviously when you look at a club like Huddersfield, they are a big club and they probably can offer more wages.
Well, I think it's the ownership. I think if they'd come down under the previous ownership, they probably wouldn't have been able to prize someone like Alfie May from you. But they've got an owner called Kevin Nagel who's put a lot of money in, so they are going to have a big budget, and maybe a bigger budget than Charlton, possibly.
Oh yeah, they are going to have a bigger budget than us. There's no doubt about that. Was it like 2 seasons ago they're playing in Premier League? So, yeah, I think they will. I think sadly we're probably going to have to resign ourselves to Alfie going. And like you say, it takes a lot of money. It's near on impossible to replace a player like Alfie in terms of the goal scoring.
And so much more, by the way, because he's so much more than a goal scorer, isn't he? Like his work rate, his link-up play is amazing. Like there's so much to replace in terms of his all-round game, as well as the fact that he's likely to score 20 goals a season.
Yeah, and it just that, like, that energy he brings for an older player, like he's very much one that makes that difference in the energy levels on the pitch, and he never stopped. I mean, him and Daniel, even though there's that massive age difference, quite similar in terms of that energy that they bring and just keep going. I think there'd been some discussions around, and obviously this is never going to be sort of confirmed, but I think him and Nathan have had a few run-ins, so that might contribute to him going elsewhere. But again, what happens on the training field, we're not party to, and to be fair, you probably don't want to know. So if he goes, we'd wish him luck, and we would miss him. But if he stays, that's an absolute bonus. Like, yeah, he was our player of the year last season. He beat Erling Haaland in how many goals got scored in a year. So for a League One player, that's like unbelievable.
Certainly is, yeah. So if, let's say, Alfie May goes, it does open a slot up top. There is probably a likelihood that you would dip into the market, but Miles Leaburn, brilliant form at the start of the 22-23 campaign, and then since then his progress, which looked like a really upward curve potentially, it's been hindered by a couple of long-term injuries. But could this be the? I don't know if you've got a steer on Miles Leaburn's trajectory, his recovery from injury. Do you think this could be a big season for Miles Leaburn?
I feel like this season is make or break for Miles. We saw he was just, when he started playing in the first team, it was just like a breath of fresh air. He's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, and his dad will say this: he's far better player than his dad ever was at that age. And that's a big statement because Carlo's like legendary at Charlton. But I think, like you say, 2 injuries in sort of fairly quick succession. I mean, he didn't play for most of the back, like the second half of the season. It'll be interesting to see, because he's back in training. So to answer your question, it looks like he will be. He might be a little bit behind in his progress in terms of pre-season training, but just because they need to take that rehab really slowly, because we don't want to risk whatever the issue was, getting him re-injured. But I think Miles is definitely one for the future. And I mean, for me, as a Charlton through and through since I was a kid, how amazing would it be for your front two to be both academy players, like Miles and Daniel?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how they would play together. But I feel like it would be really exciting. But yeah, Miles definitely just such a talent, and I just hope that he's not hindered by any more serious injuries. Because again, I think he had started to attract attention from bigger clubs when just before he got injured. So potentially could be someone that helps to get us promoted with his goals.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. The other options you've got are Chuks Aneke, who I think at this stage of his career is probably going to be at his best coming off the bench, because he seems to be able to make more of a difference sometimes in those short bursts, if you like. But you've also got Tyrese Campbell as well.
Yeah, so I think Chuks, he's absolutely adored at Charlton. Like, we love the injury situation is very frustrating because he'll play we've all come to the sort of realization that Chuks is an impact player coming off the bench. That's where he's at his best, and it's probably sad for him because he would want to play 90 minutes every game, but he can't. It just we've tried it didn't work. So I mean, what a weapon to bring on, like when you're sort of 15 minutes from the end of the game and you may be 1-0, like he's unreal, and what a lovely guy. So I would hope that Chuck stays around. A lot of the fans were quite harsh. They were like, right, get rid, because if you can't play 90 minutes, what's the point? But actually, when you've got someone like him on your bench that can come on and sort of create real damage to the opposition, why would you not keep him? I know it's another body taking up wages from someone that you can't play for 90 minutes every game, but when you've got someone like that in your armoury, you've got to weigh it up, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tyrese, I think he's again another academy lad. Still a lot of growing and learning to do. I think, if I'm honest, Tyrese would benefit from a loan.
Okay.
Because he works so well with the other academy lads that are in the starting lineup, but because they've got that understanding, they've come through from like when they were little boys together. But I just feel like he's quite an inconsistent player. He's amazing when he's on it. He's unbelievable. But it's very in and out. So I feel like he would benefit from like a bit of a experience in League Two, where it's probably slightly more rough, sort of strengthen him up a bit. Do you know, like
a bit like you had with Daniel Carney?
Yeah. Get a really positive experience from a loan deal and come back a better man and player. So I think Dan, because I think we're looking, obviously if Alfie goes, we're definitely going to be in for somebody else. But I think they are looking at that position anyway. So it could be that Tyrese is the one that goes out on loan.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. So, Sue, expectations this season. Instinctively, I imagine you're thinking top six, but it is going to be a very tough league this season as well. So is it a case of top 10 is sort of the minimum expectation and top six is the target?
With our fan base, top six is going to be the expectation.
Okay.
And we start off every season, as you know, like when we do Charlton Live, we always, there's a couple of them that are like always realistic, so on mid-table, but I'm always like top two. So I'm the rose tinted one, but I think realistically we should be we should be top 6. With the manager that we've got, the players that we've brought in so far, and the players, I mean, Nathan's saying he wants another 4 or 5 in, that you can imagine are going to be real quality. He's not going to just get anyone in. So I definitely feel like top 6 is realistic, and ideally top 2.
Well, let's see if you can get into the top 2. What are the reasons to believe you'll meet your ambitions this season, or what's the biggest reason to believe you'll meet your ambition this season, do you think? So
Nathan Jones.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's just, it's really hard to describe him. Like, I mean, obviously he got so much bad press when he was at Stoke and Southampton, but he's a very unique character. But the passion and knowledge that he has, and how to get the best out of the players. I mean, obviously he went back to Luton. He got them in the position that allowed Rob Edwards to then get them promoted. So I don't think you can ever sort of disregard his ability as a coach. Even if you don't agree with some of the things that he says, sometimes he knows how to get the best out of players. And like I say, he took Luton from League 2 to like top of the Championship. So you can't argue with that. With a club like Luton at the time, I mean, I went to watch them when they was in the National League. Like, they've always been a big club, but you can't disregard what he's done. And I think there was obviously reasons why it didn't work out at Southampton, at Stoke, which was out of his control. So yeah, I believe that he is the right man. I'd love to see him as a long-term manager. I got a bit carried away and said potentially could be our next Alan Kirbishley.
You never know.
But yeah, I mean, that would be unbelievable. But yeah, I guess we just.
Do you know what, though, Sue? You've talked about Charlton Athletic being a family club where it's like you've got a real sort of homely feel there, which is, I think, quite impressive for a club that is as big as Charlton Athletic as well. So, but I reckon, I can't speak for Nathan, obviously, but I think having had that experience where he had that to an extent at Luton, and both times he went for quote unquote bigger opportunity, like Stoke, like Southampton. I think, could he have made some mistakes at either of those clubs? Possibly, maybe, especially so in the case of Southampton, I think. But I think he's learned a few lessons. But I also think one of the lessons that he's learned actually is that sometimes the grass isn't always greener. Sometimes actually it's better to take the longer road and actually try and build something with a club, because once you then get to that higher level, you're at a club where you're more you feel more supported. Whereas I think when Nathan Jones went to, I think the Stoke fans were always were quite supportive of him, but certainly at Southampton it was like he had to prove himself right from the off. Whereas I think at Charlton, for a group of fans that really appreciate him, I think you can't value that enough as a manager in terms of your day-to-day life. I think that's a really important thing. And listen, we all make certain decisions that we might look back on and think, was that the right thing to do? But actually, I think maybe he's learned a few things, and maybe he feels like he wants to build something special.
Yeah, I think from when the interviews were done with him, from when he took the job, he sees it very much as kind of a project. He wants to build it from the bottom up, and I think very similar to what he did at Luton. So I think for him it feels like a longer term project, where he wants to do that like how he did at Luton. So obviously you learn through good or bad experiences, don't you? And you take a little bit from all of those experiences. And I mean, obviously when he left us originally, he went to Brighton. He did really well at Brighton. He was there for quite a long time as
Yeah.
the assistant manager. So he would have learned a lot then. And yeah, learning from bad experiences also help you, don't they, to grow and know what not to do in the future. So I think definitely this is a long-term project for him. And he's got that sort of personal attachment already. Whereas I don't know how it feels for managers when they go to a club where they not really have any kind of historic connection with them.
Yeah.
We've tended to do better with managers that have played or been involved with the club previously. Lee Bowyer, Anna Kirbishley, like ones that sort of know the club, know the fan base, know the history.
Oh, Chris Powell.
Chris Powell. How I forgot Pally? Oh my god, 30 years. Yeah. When you look at the promotions, they've been under managers that have played for us or had an attachment to us previously. So fingers crossed that happens again.
Fingers crossed. So I've asked you for a reason to believe. What's your biggest reason for doubt?
Oh gosh, this is hard for me because I am very, as you probably noticed,
Someone's going to go all
very
Paxman on you.
positive-minded person. I guess still that bit of uncertainty about what players might come in, and obviously if Alfie leaves, that's going to be massive. So that would be my only doubt, really.
Okay. Yeah, replacing Alfie May if you have to, that's going to be tough. So, too early for a prediction, I think so, because still a lot can change between now and the start of the season. But give me a number between 1 and 10 to denote your level of optimism that your ambitions are going to be realised.
8.5.
8.5. You're not quite going to a 9, but you're going 8.5.
Yeah, I thought if I said 9, everyone would be like, "Oh my god, Louis, you're mad." I mean, everyone will say that about me anyway.
Sue's been on the sherry this morning.
Yeah, or as the Charlton fan base think I'm always on the wine. With my massive mugs. But yeah, I have every faith that this season's going to go really well, and I'm probably going to regret saying that at the end of the season. Who knows? The thing is, if you don't go in with hope, what's the point? Why would you go? If you didn't believe, why go? So
Absolutely.
You've always got to start that season fresh slate. Forget about what happened last season. This is a new season. Let's just hope and wish and get behind our boys and see where it takes us.
Yeah, could be quite the journey, hopefully. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your insight from Charlton Live. Everyone go follow Charlton Live on various platforms, of course. And also get following EFL Debate on YouTube and on Spotify. Drop us a comment. Let me know how you think the Addicks are going to get on. And also drop us a review on Spotify if you've enjoyed this video. Or even if you hadn't, I don't mind. I like mixed review. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Thanks to you for watching at home, and we'll see you again very soon.